Did Dylan break?
Yeah, I did. Like immediately. Welcome every.
It's crazy.
The fuck did he go? Imagine that's it.
I do
Here we
regret
go.
I do regret trading you Brees Hall though.
I know you do because you like sent like a request back to me like within the next 2 days.
Yeah, I was kind of doing it because you were bugging. But like I do think like running backs for like if you can get a first for a running back, it's chill.
Like the more research I've done into dynasty and shit, the more I like realize that running back is such a fucked position
It
to own and
Yeah,
invest
because
in.
it's like you need them to win, but like your your like future is destroyed.
Like the only way that like you see me investing a first in a running back is if they're
Like Brees Hall.
a Brees Hall or like a
But then it's like people with
Bijan.
Brees Hall and Bijan want two first, you know?
No, I'm saying like investing in one as in like drafting them. Like I'll draft one of those guys
In
because
the rookie
if you
draft.
look, yeah, if
Oh,
you
that's
look
fine.
at
No,
it,
no, no. I'm talking about like trading future first round, rookie draft.
yeah, no, they're just too volatile. Like you never know
That's what
with
I'm
these
saying. It's like
guys.
it's tough. Like the most, like in my super big league to rebuild. Like I had Aaron Jones, but I traded two
Hmm.
seconds for Josh Jacobs because it was like I didn't want to give up a first for a back. But
Okay,
I mean, I was like 2 seconds won't hurt for something like that.
bro, where did Dylan go? Let me text him.
But like my team in your league is like, I like it because
There he
it's
is.
like deep.
There he
All
is.
right, we had some technical difficulties. Sorry about that.
All right,
My
just
app.
start from the top.
You
Okay,
understand? Can
well,
you restart it?
welcome to week two. It just started recording. Welcome to week two of NMI Sport Report. We got Nick Kelly on here today instead of Patrick. Patrick couldn't make it because of a hockey game. If you want to say hi real quick, Nick, give us your favorite team and your favorite past player and your favorite current player, and we'll get started.
What up, guys? My favorite team is the New Orleans Saints. I would say that my favorite past player. You know what? I'll give you like my favorite per like position. Quarterback, we got to go Drew Brees, of course. He's like the reason why I became a Saints fan. Running back, I'm going to have to say Adrian Peterson. Man was a dog. Wide receiver, hands down, Calvin Johnson. Dude literally was the most electric receiver to watch when I was growing up and made me love football. It was insane.
All right, and how about like a favorite current player that you have right now?
Oh, favorite current player? I mean, shit. Like once we get into the topics of today, I think I might have found my new one. But I would say like my favorite current player. I'm gonna go Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Okay, I like it. Well, welcome, Nick. We're glad to have you on the show. Hopefully, we see you next couple weeks or you join the team. Today, we're going to get straight into futures. We're going to go over our divisional picks, who's going to win the divisions, AFC, NFC, and Super Bowl pick. For myself, my favorite picks right now are I like Miami, take the AFC East, Baltimore, AFC North, Houston to take the AFC South, Kansas City to take the AFC West, Philadelphia to take the NFC East. I had Green Bay, but after Jordan Love went down, I'm taking Detroit to take the NFC North.
Hmm.
I have the Saints taking the NFC South, and I have San Francisco taking the NFC West. I have Philadelphia, NFC champ, Baltimore, AFC champ, and Baltimore to win the whole thing this year.
Hmm.
Damn.
All right.
Nick, you
You
want to
said
take
who did you
this?
say you had winning the AFC East?
From the AFC East, I have Miami.
You have Miami over Buffalo.
I do, yeah.
All right. Okay.
If Tua can stay healthy, I really like them. If not, I'm back on Buffalo.
All
For
right.
right now,
Well,
I'm on Miami.
all right. Well, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. So I think that the Bills are taking the AFC East.
Okay.
I
Who
think
do you
that I'll
like
tell you this. I'll
for?
tell you this. I think Bills take AFC East, Ravens take AFC North, but they're followed by the Steelers. I'll say
Okay.
that. AFC South, I think that the Texans take it, followed by the Colts, followed by the Jags, then at the very bottom, Titans. I think AFC West, of course, it goes the Chiefs, and then it goes, dude, that division is shit. It goes Chiefs. Oh my gosh, bro, I'm looking at this right now. It goes Chiefs, and then it goes Chargers,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna
You gotta
say
go. You gotta go Raiders,
Raiders
and
and
then
Broncos.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. NFC East, Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders, and then obviously the Giants. NFC North, it goes the Lions, and then I still think that the Packers will come in second regardless of the Jordan Love injury.
Yeah, I can
Uh,
still see them getting a wild card or something
yeah.
if depending on how the new quarterback looks.
It goes Lions, then Packers, then Bears, then Vikings. NFC South, I think that the standings as they are listed right now are correct. I think it's going to go okay, but honestly, I think I might even look as a Saints fan. Like, of course, I want to say the Saints are number one, but the Bucks look damn good in Week 1 too.
Yeah,
But
but
I'm
they
still
both
gonna
played
say
equally shitty teams. So
they did. But I'm gonna say Saints, then Bucks, then Falcons, then Panthers. NFC
Okay.
West, it's gonna go Niners, then Seahawks. Does it go Niners and I want to say that the Cardinals end as the bottom, like for sure. But those
Ooh.
other, yeah, it's gonna
Okay.
go Niners, then yeah, Niners. You know what? I'll say Niners, and then Rams, and then Seahawks, and then Cardinals. That's
Okay.
my, and I'm gonna have the Lions winning the championship, what is it? Conference round, and I think that it's gonna be a Lions Chiefs Super Bowl, but I think that the Chiefs fucking three-peat.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a Chiefs three-peat. It's in the
I
script.
I could see that. I could definitely see the Chiefs repeating, but
Yeah.
after Week 1, Baltimore is coming back.
Mm.
I don't know, bro. That
Those are
Chiefs
those are
offense looked nuts. Like they are very very good. Like look, I think that teams are going to start being able to like game plan around those speedy kind of utility players like Worthy and shit like that. But
Uh-huh.
look, even having a guy like that on your team, it opens up so many options. Like Rashee Rice is basically going to be like the possession, short yardage, like yak receiver. Like come to think of like like an Amon Ra, maybe like light, like an Amon Ra light, or like a who else? Like a maybe like a Cooper Kupp, not as talented as Cooper Kupp, but someone that they're gonna have the field opened for them due to like Xavier Worthy's just deep threat like capabilities. But if I remember correctly, like Xavier Worthy, he's if I'm not mistaken, I think he's like 165 pounds, and one of the big concerns with
It
him
was injury.
was it was injury, but it was also well, like, yeah, because you're getting hit by like a 245 pound 6'5" like middle linebacker, like you're
That and
gonna
yards
be
after
rocked.
catch.
But he gets bullied at like the line of scrimmage, if I'm not mistaken. But what remember? Okay, so with the modern offenses, though, you see a lot of that pre-snap motion, and if you watch on the jet sweep where he scored, that's exactly the type of way that I think that they're going to use him throughout the season. Those pre-snap motions, those deep threat, like the literal just threat of him going deep is going to open so much more down the across the middle and at the line of scrimmage for like drags and shit for Rashee Rice.
A lot of screen plays too, I would say.
Yeah.
He's not going to be an outside receiver, probably like slot
Yeah.
type guy, and
Like they'll have
maybe in
him
the
line
back.
him up. They'll line him up outside. Don't get me wrong, but they're not running the ball to his side. Like, hell
Yeah.
no, I'm not having hit. Like, if I'm bigger than a receiver, I know I can't block, right? This fool,
Yeah.
like, I get it, he's a professional, but if you have that guy trying to block, you're going to have a running back that can, make that guy miss. I mean, Pacheco kind of is that guy, so who knows?
And
Like,
he runs between center guard and guard tackle, and he does fine. He's
dude,
hitting people. He's a scrappy guy. And I think he can go up against anybody and be fine.
bro, he runs like someone like slapped him across the face or some shit. Like, he's one of the angriest runners I've ever seen. Like,
Yeah.
I just mean like angry, like not even like he's effective, but when you watch him play, he's just like pissed off. Like,
yeah.
and
No, I see that.
it's crazy.
How about Brandon? What do you think for divisional winners, your NFC, AFC champ, and your Super Bowl champ?
Yeah, but doing the conference championship's a little bit tough for me right now. 'Cause I think throughout the season, there's a lot of luck for a lot of teams health wise. Guys drop, and that just changes the whole course of the season and like
Yeah.
what could happen. But let's start with the AFC East. Definitely Buffalo, Miami at the top. But I like what I saw out of Miami's defense, and the offense isn't up to like how they're uh trying to go yet, but it's like very soon, like they're all gonna be clicking. They're a really fast offense. And Buffalo did look really good and like how they're normally used to. Still the turnover issues for Josh Allen, but I think I like where Dylan's heading and like I'm gonna take Miami, take the division from Buffalo throughout the season with Buffalo right after. Oh, wait, I forgot about the Jets too. They look good. No, yeah, I think Miami's gonna be a top. Um, yeah, that second place spot's gonna definitely be defined by Buffalo versus New York Jets matchups this season.
I mean, even after this weekend, how we saw the Patriots play, that might be the toughest division in the league right there, as far as
Yeah,
spots. But
Yeah,
could be a hot
I'll,
take. I
I'll,
don't know
I'll
how good
go.
the Patriots are
I
going to
got a
be,
hot
but
take
I was
for.
happy.
There's this AFC division that I think is gonna be a tight one, I believe. But I'm gonna go Miami up top in the East.
Okay.
The AFC North. I'm gonna go Buffalo. Their O line still needs a couple more weeks to get together, but um,
Buffalo in AFC North.
For AFC North, are you talking about?
AFC East Miami,
Okay.
AFC North
What about AFC
Baltimore,
North? Yeah,
Okay.
AFC South. I think AFC South could be a tight division this year, with all
I agree.
teams really being close within one another. Because I think the Houston Texans will definitely take the division. Um, but I think falling right behind them, like the Colts, Jacksonville, are really close together. But they both played really well week one despite their losses. And
yeah.
but I do think Tennessee can play up to that. We're right there where Jacksonville and Colts can be at. Because I feel like they played a really good game. They obviously lost it all to the Bears in the second half. But like
They could have won. You see what the head coach said about winning that game?
If
they
They would have
punted on
punted
first
every
down.
1st and 10.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I do think Tennessee, like if they stick to their game plan and they do like stick to the ground, I think that like they could hold it like close with the Colts and Jacksonville in a division game for sure, especially with the good
I'm
defense.
a,
I
I'm a,
like that.
You know what? I'm gonna disagree with you on that. I think that there's gonna be a fat gap between the Jags and the Titans.
Between the
I
last place in that division.
Yeah, like I think you know how every year there's like those divisions where it's like really close, and then you get the mega shitter, like like that's gonna be the Titans. Like I'm projecting how many games? 17 or 16? It's 17,
17.
right? I'm gonna say that the Titans, they're gonna go 4-13.
Damn.
Like they're
Oh,
not,
wow.
bro,
Okay.
they're not gonna win shit. I really like after that. Okay, like look, don't get me wrong. Like the Titans, I was really high on them going into this season. Like they made a lot of improvements on offensive line. They got this new offensive line coach, like Will Levis going into his sophomore season. Let's see it, right? And after that game, all I could think about was just this team doesn't look put together like on offense at least. Like the defense looked damn good. I'll say that. Like the defense did like hold their own. Like the defensive line especially like was dominating the Bears. Like it was a massacre. Like I can't even blame Caleb Williams for a lot of the shit that happened that week because if you watch, like I know that one of his problems is that he held the ball in the pocket too long in college and he always tried to do this bullshit like scramble behind and like avoid people. But if you watch,
he was damn good at in college.
But this
not
is
going to
like,
work in the NFL.
This is the NFL, bro. Like these people are not falling for that shit, and I bet that the defensive line for the Titans were just like licking their chops, like watching his college film, like right before the game, like, oh, dude, if this guy tries some shit on me, he's gonna get fucked up. And like you saw that there was a play where he got tackled for like a 15-yard loss after trying to pull his Houdini bullshit. So
yeah,
I think like. You know what? I could be completely wrong. I think you're right, Roberto, though. I think that this is going to be an extremely contested division. And I think that the exact opposite is going to be the AFC West. Like, I think that, remember how it's like, I was just saying, there's like the really good 3 teams and then there's like the mega shitter. I think that it's going to be the reverse where it's like the one really good team and then the 3 like shitters, like battling it out in the toilet bowl. Like,
and that's usually the NFC South, as we've seen in the previous couple years.
Yes, it usually is. 100%, bro. I was part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I thought.
Oh, but continue.
Jacksonville, they played good, but I think a big thing was the Colts just lost one of their good cornerbacks too for the season.
Yeah.
So that hurts like their pass defense, but their offense is dynamic, and so I think like, yeah, I think. Definitely Indianapolis, Jacksonville above Titans, but I do think just depending on how their offense goes will determine the Titans and how far they can go or how many wins.
Okay.
But like definitely like if you're thinking they're down most of the time and they need Will Levis to get them close or to win the game, like I don't think he'll be able to do it. And like especially with the offense, like it's not well put together. But they got a bunch of pieces, but it's not like meshing good at all.
Yeah, there's no chemistry. These are all new guys from new
but their
teams
run
that
game's fine.
haven't played together.
Spears in the past and Pollard doing everything he can. Like I think that's still a good foundation, but it's just figuring out quarterback to the receivers and how far that can take them.
Yeah.
I honestly think I fucked up in my fantasy league because one of the people in our league offered, he's like, hey, I'm selling one of the Titans running backs. Somebody like give me an offer. And I ended up getting Tyjae Spears, but like Pollard looked like way better on that like for that offense than Tyjae did. And I was just sitting there during the game like, bro, like I fucked up.
Yeah.
No, we'll see. Like with the utilization throughout the week.
Some leagues I got Pollard, but then I let Pollard slip in a lot of leagues and settled for Tyjae. But yeah. And then but the Chiefs for sure taking the West.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the NFC East, Philly and Dallas up top, but I'm gonna give it to Philly. They weren't playing at their best, but like they're just still put together. I think Dallas showed out they're still really put together, but I think their offense for Dallas needs to really click a lot more. They need more running game, if you compare the offense, Philly's clears.
Yeah.
And then, but I think...
And Philly's defense looked good, too.
Yeah.
Like, during that
it's
game...
tough to run up the middle on them. But I think Jaden Daniels, really good bright spot. Like, there's going to be a gap between the top 2 and the bottom. But, like, I think Washington clears the Giants for that 3rd spot.
Give me your Giants record prediction.
I think I'll give them 4 games, like you said, with the Titans.
Nah, bro. Dylan, write this shit down. All right?
What are you going with?
Giants, 2-15. They're going 2-15.
I would like to give them more credit than 2 games because I was thinking like, dude, 1-2 games they win, but I like to give them more credit because we saw at the end of last season them beat the Eagles. They beat the Eagles like by a lot at the one of the last games of the season, and all the starters were playing for Philly.
Or a
So
playoff
I
seeding
mean, we
too.
could maybe see them turn around. I like where Roberto's going with like the 4-13 record. I'm going to give them at least 4 games. I can't go below that because I'm thinking like an NFL team, as bad as they can be, they're at least due 3 to 4
Like,
games.
Bro,
So you like
James
automatically.
is like
Let
number
me
one
stop
overall
you.
pick.
Let me stop you. Are we forgetting that the Lions went 0-16 with Calvin fucking Johnson on their team? Are we forgetting the fact that the Raiders were fucking dog shit in like 2014, 2015, won like one game? Or wait, no, it was the Browns. The Browns, remember when they had a parade for like winning the first game in like 2 years? Or some
Yeah,
shit?
but this is a different NFL. This isn't the same one that we've seen where
Bro,
teams are
same
winning off
shit,
different things
same
now.
shit, different fucking day. This shit is gonna happen
Okay.
again. Do you really think that Daniel Jones, with the way that he played against the Vikings, is capable of winning? Like, look, it might even be fucking 1-16. I'm not even kidding. That team looked horrible. Drew Lock is going to be starting on that team by week 8, and by then, maybe I'll change my mind. Like, I think Drew Lock, legitimately, as like fucking weird as this sounds, he's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones in the NFL. Like, I would rather have Drew Lock than Daniel fucking Jones, just for like you don't wear the same shirt all the fucking time, you know, like you don't wear it back to back. You feel gross, right? I don't know if that's the right analogy, but like
No, I hear what you're
what
saying.
is it called? Like the grass is always greener. Like I'd rather like same shit. Like hot take maybe. I'd rather have Aiden O'Connell on the Raiders than Gardner Minshew. Like as a fan, I'm thinking about it from like the perspective of these fans, right? Like give me something different than Daniel Jones making like what was his contract? Like some crazy shit, like $140 million for 4 years or some shit. Like,
It was something crazy. I don't know the number off the top of my head,
like,
but
bro,
yeah,
like,
he got paid. He robbed him. He robbed him for sure.
that's what like he did nothing to deserve that contract, which is nuts. And they're starting him. I feel like they're just starting him because it's like, well, we paid for this guy, we got to use him.
Yeah,
It's like, bro,
and
he's
that goes
horrible.
back to like the Titans. Like that's kind of why like I started leaning a lot more on Pollard because it's like they paid Pollard all this money to come over there, and so like they got to give him at least like all that first run and see how he can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then NFC North, my Packers. Yeah, it'll be tough to take the division, because like without having Jordan Love, it's gonna be a setback, and so it's just gonna be an uphill battle for the division. But so I'll just for that I'll give it to the Lions, but I do think we'll still take some games, and I think we'll take second, and Chicago third, Minnesota last. And then NFC South, I'm gonna give it the Bucks, the Saints, Falcons, same old Falcons again,
Mm-hmm.
and poor Bryce Young over there. Poor Panthers actually. And then San Francisco gonna take it. The Rams look good, even though they lost Puka. Like they're still great coaching and able to get it done with Stafford and Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, that connection's unreal.
Yeah.
And they always have this random receiver every season that like does their job.
Bro.
So we could see that again. They looked really good against what we're saying is the division winner of the North. So the Rams could be kind of nice this year.
Even without Aaron Donald. But I do think the Seahawks and Cardinals will be fairly behind. Like choosing last place is tough because like Cardinals, they're like not like desperation mode, but it's like with the Kyler Murray era, they got to get it done sooner, or else they're gonna have to go in a different direction. And the Seahawks are just they're just running it back with a lot of what they had building.
Mm-hmm.
But like Patrick was saying, man, once that Black Ops 6 comes out, that Cardinals team's going downhill.
Dude,
It's going downhill
that's a
fast.
good point, huh?
Yeah. There's a new Black Ops coming out that not a lot of people are talking about, and that'll affect the Cardinals offense. I don't know. And then how about the NFC West for you?
The Niners.
That's what you just said. Niners, I think.
Okay. Okay. And then what about so AFC NFC winner?
That's a little tough for me after week one. Like for like like if I'm trying to go for like what I think more accurate, like I'll need it like at least next week. But give me AFC Chiefs for sure. But like a lot of teams are like the AFC playoffs are going to be one to watch for sure. Because you got like the Texans, Baltimore will be there, I believe, and then potentially three teams in the AFC East. So that'll be a
Yeah.
fun playoff to watch because everyone's just trying to now dethrone the Chiefs over there before they
Yeah.
get back. So that'll be a fun one to watch. And then NFC East or NFC Conference. Yeah, Niners definitely up top right now. They played really well. Um, yeah, like very well could be like obviously my bias pick would be the Packers to come out, but they got to
Not
compete
happening.
with the Niners. They got to compete with Detroit, Philly, and yeah, I think those three teams are up top right now. But I'll just give it to the Niners right now. Rematch for the third time in the last how many years?
Since what was it,
Yeah,
19?
or,
2019 was their
or
first
20
matchup, and then
or
last year,
2020.
Oh no, bro.
I think it was it the 1920 season or was it the 1819 season? Either way, it's within the last five
Like
years they've
let's
seen
see
each other
if like
twice now in the
that'll be
bowl.
like a good one to watch as well, just because it'll be like, are the Niners ever gonna get past the Chiefs? Like the Chiefs are the ones holding the Niners from lifting a trophy, literally, which would be crazy.
Yeah.
They,
So you're thinking Kansas City three peats as well?
Yeah, I'll give it to Kansas City right
Okay.
now, week one.
Okay. I like it. I like it.
The
Well,
Niners
moving
did
on,
impress
we got
against a pretty solid Jets team. Like
yeah.
I knew
I
the
mean,
Jets would like struggle a lot on offense than like all the expectations. Their defense did what they could, but like even without McCaffrey, like their the Niners are firing all cylinders already with their bread and butter.
yeah.
yeah. No, I agree, and yeah, like you said, the Jets are going to have a little bit of a struggle. Aaron Rodgers just got back. Like it's going to be tough, but I don't know. Like you said too, it's hard to pick these winners. I just wanted to do it. I wanted to do it last week, but it's better we do it now
Yeah,
rather than later. That way
yeah,
we
we
can look
could
back on these
like we
picks and be
could
like,
you
"Wow,
can
that
mark
was
down like our
horrible," or
week
"That was
one
good."
picks, and then we can do check in, see how much we stay on those teams throughout the year.
Yeah, I like that. I do like that. Moving on from the futures, we have this week's recaps and records. What was your guys' favorite game of the week?
My favorite game of the week was definitely the Jacksonville versus the Miami Dolphins. That game was
Okay.
such a good game. You know what? I'll even give you the worst game of the week. It was the fucking Bears versus the Titans. That was like the most aggravating. You know, well, I'm gonna give it a tie. Okay, so best game, Dolphins Jags, tied with Saints Panthers, just because I'm a Saints fan. But I'm talking like being impartial. Like the Dolphins Jags one was probably better. Um, but worst game for sure was that what was I just saying? What did I
The
the Bears Titans.
oh,
That was embarrassing.
Bears
That was
Titans,
horrible.
yeah.
Um, so the Dolphins game was really really good. I thought it was very neck and neck like the whole game. And you get like a lot of that. I don't know. I was just getting excited about like watching this team because specifically the Jags and there was a lot of hype going into it too because Tyreek Hill got arrested like right outside the stadium. So everybody was like, "What the
Yeah.
fuck's going on over there?" Um, and so I think that look, I will say this about that game. I think that the stats are extremely deceiving as to how that game actually played out. you need to go back and like really watch the game to see what could have been. The Jags totally could have won that game. Like they could have won that game, but ETN fumbled on the 1 yard line, and the Dolphins got the ball back and scored. So it's like
Yeah.
that game though, like Trevor Lawrence made like an insanely like talented throw to the back of the end zone to Brian Thomas, and that was great. But I thought my favorite moment from that game was watching Brian Thomas burn Jalen Ramsey and then talk shit to him after because Jalen Ramsey didn't want to get exposed. So he turned his body and PI'd him in the end zone. So Brian Thomas, that I was going to get to that, but like Brian Thomas is like slowly becoming one of my favorite players in the league because that fool would have gone 5 for 5, 88 yards and 2 touchdowns had that play been able to, go through without the PI. Of course, I'm also assuming that he caught it, but that was
Yeah.
a really, really good game, really down to the wire. Unfortunately, I don't know if you guys saw this, but both Mostert and Achan are out of practice. They're both injured. So what that means for the Dolphins' run game right now, like we're yet to see, but they're not practicing. But like,
Yeah, and it's a short week too. So if they take today off and we don't see them tomorrow, it's unlikely that we might see them
yeah,
Thursday
they play
or
on
like
Thursday.
it's in 2 days.
Yeah.
So if we don't see them, if they didn't practice today, they took yesterday off obviously for rest.
Yeah.
But short week, if we don't see them at least walk through or get out there tomorrow, that Miami might be in trouble with the Bills
And,
coming up. So
That was kind of like what I was saying with the divisions. Like, I do think like the Bills can easily take this game in week 2, but I think with our futures and like we were with the Dolphins, like down the stretch, the Dolphins can definitely they have the team to go on a run. But it won't be like an uphill battle already for week 2 against a division team.
I agree with that. What about you, Brandon? Your favorite game
So,
and the worst game
Favorite
of this
game
week?
for me was Texans and Colts. I thought that game was super
Yeah, that was a
electric.
good game too.
Like Texans were doing their thing. See Joe Mixon, they're able to run the ball, have a full good offense.
He was a lot more involved in
as
the
soon
offense
as,
than
like,
I
it
ever
seems
thought.
like the Colts are down and out, Anthony Richardson just drops a couple bombs on them, and Richardson was really
Yeah.
electric to watch. Um, and like it's always been the AFC South, and those whenever they play each other, those are always the tightest games too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, any division
Yeah.
matchup. Like looking forward to this week, the Arizona Rams matchup. I think that'll still be a close game. As much as we think the difference in wins in that division is going to be big, though it's always going to be a tight game. Any divisional matchup.
And for worst game, I got like a tie for 2. One was the Steelers Falcons game.
Oh yeah, that was horrible. You're right.
Yeah, everyone's like all this offseason hype for the Falcons and their offense, and the Steelers just do what the Steelers do: is just
Yeah.
run the ball, run the clock down, and grind out a win. Somehow, someway with Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And then my other game, it really had the same exact vibes. I felt was the Patriots and Bengals. Like the Bengals, like everyone still like expects the Bengals to be that Super Bowl contending team, but I think
Not me.
like year by year, it's just like they show that it was just that one year, and the Patriots were able to do the same thing that the Steelers do. Is they're just able to play the game of football their way and come out with the win.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I mean, one of my favorite games this week was watching that Patriots-Bengals upset. Being a Patriots fan and watching them beat this playoff contender team, I was like, wow, that was a sight to see. And it knocked out a lot of people in suicide picks, in betting. It was ruining people's lives this weekend because a lot of people were on the Bengals, and we saw the Patriots upset them. And my favorite moment from that game was watching second-year corner Christian Gonzalez lock down Jamar and then say after the game that he's not getting a new contract on me. And that was just
Yeah,
that was
that was
the cherry on top for me. I was like, man, Yeah, I was like, to see Jamar fight for this contract, to hold out, not practice, and then get locked down by his second year. And the guy was hurt half of last season, but then he locks down Jamar week one, who's he says is the best. He thinks he's the best receiver in the league. That was awesome to see. So that was one of my favorite games, along with the Detroit LA game. The Rams and Lions was a good game. To see it go to overtime and the Rams put up that much of a fight versus who we're saying is the divisional winner, or not the divisional winner, but just that division winner. That was a good game as well. So I liked both of those. And I think one of the ones that I couldn't really watch as far as like worst games was, it was exciting as far as points being scored, but the Saints Panthers, like just to watch them beat, it's like beating a dead horse. It was hard to it was hard to watch the Panthers get beat that bad.
Like, Nick, I just couldn't watch it. Did you even have fun like after halftime watching the game?
Bro, I've kind of felt
watching
bad
it because you're a Saints fan.
Look, I'm not gonna lie, like it felt great to like see the offense like do amazing. I was like, damn, like at like 20 or so points, I'm like, hey, we're doing really good. And then at like 30 or so, I'm like, it's like 35 or 34. I'm like, damn, we're doing good. And then it got to 47. I'm like, all right, bro, this is fucked up. Like, this is
like
mean.
Watching
like,
someone, yeah, it was like going back to high school, watching someone get bullied, bro, and you do nothing about it.
Hey,
like I just
that couldn't
that
be
kind
me.
of
I'm always intervening, like, but this game, bro, I couldn't like. How do I like explain like how I felt about this game? Okay, so for one, I thought it was crazy that we put up 47 points and Chris Olave had like one target. Like, how does that happen? For one. For two, I want to issue a formal apology to Derek Carr. I wasn't familiar with your game, okay? But also,
Bakersfield product.
You also gotta show me this shit next week against Dallas, okay? I will issue the signed document upon completion of the win against Dallas. Rashid Shaheed looked insanely nice, like he was just like destroying them over the top. And Alvin Kamara, he looked great. I've been telling everybody like he's not washed. Like people were saying like, oh, Alvin Kamara's washed. This guy's like ended like outside the top 10 RBs. I'm like, for one, that doesn't make you washed. For two, the guy missed like 4 games and still went RB 11. Like, are you kidding me? And he's like 29 years old.
And that backfield looks nice with Jamal Williams too. Like just in general, that 1-2 combo with those two.
I agree,
good.
but also any team can make like any opponent against the Panthers are going to look like a fucking Super Bowl contender. Like, I think that the Panthers are the team that you like play as like a crossfade between like a really hard like matchup. Like you're like, fuck, like we need a bye week, and then you see that you're playing the Panthers and you're like, oh shit, we're chilling.
So are you saying then that 17 teams this year are going to get an extra bye week playing the Panthers?
I'm saying that the Panthers and the Giants are bye weeks. They're glorified bye weeks. Until Jonathan Brooks.
I like that.
Jonathan Brooks is going to come back to the Panthers, and he's going to actually give them some kind of hope. I think that Panthers fans feel like really shitty right now, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if like Andy Dalton started by like mid-season. I'm not even kidding. Like, I think like if there are people to go pick up on your waivers right now, like Andy Dalton, Jameis Winston, and Drew Lock, like get those guys just in case, because you never know. Like, I'm talking about in deep leagues, like these 3 guys,
like your dynasty league.
Yeah, like in my dynasty league, like we got Massage Watson getting his like second allegation, or how many?
No, this is like 20 something. Yeah. He had like 25, give or take. But this one came out, like those were all last year. New one comes out from 2020. The guy doesn't play great. And we're talking about the 3 players you brought up losing their job, not off injury, but off player performance. And I agree with you. I think if you pick those guys up on your fantasy team, not necessarily like a yearly fantasy team, but a dynasty league. If you have a dynasty league, those are good pickups because they could be the starter for the rest of the season plus into next year. But, I mean, we'll see. There's a long
Like,
ways to go.
look, I don't think anybody expected Deshaun. Okay, with the exception of like very few people, like expected Deshaun Watson to come out here and like lead this Browns team and be like that guy he was in Houston before all the diddler like assumptions or accusations, right? I don't
Yeah,
think anybody thought that, right? But I don't. But I also don't think that
but
anybody thought it would be this bad. Like, not only with his
you got
what
to think the Vegas odds makers had the Browns to win that game. So
really
most of the the sports world thought the Browns were going to come out, and they were 2.5 point
against
favorites, I believe,
Dallas,
to the Dallas Cowboys. So they were projected to win
bro.
that game. And if you look at the quarterback matchups, it was like they had pretty similar. It was more the defenses keeping those teams in the game because Dak didn't play amazing, Deshaun didn't play amazing. Obviously, Deshaun
Yeah,
played horrible, but Dak's going to take a couple games to warm up and find his rhythm, whatever. But yeah, Deshaun, I don't like the fact that's like one of my favorite picks this week is the Jags, just because with the drama going around with and Deshaun being so bad, I think the Browns are going to lose this week, and yeah,
he's
he's not a
horrible.
great player, and
He's horrible. He's a
yeah,
team
people were
cancer
saying
too. Like he makes your team look bad by having that fool on your roster.
yeah,
Like not your dynasty team. Like I'm saying,
yeah,
like your NFL team. I mean, your team looks like shit if you have him on, your roster right now. But like as like a play, like he's like I can't. How do I say this? Like having him on your team, I view in the same light as having someone like I don't know, uh
Aaron
no,
Hernandez
no
if he were to keep playing.
okay. I was thinking like a Ray Rice,
um,
like
maybe Mike
Mike
Vick
Vick.
too. Like he didn't have as much support coming back to the league after what he
Mhm.
did. So I mean, it's just those players who get in trouble outside of work and then come back or they whatever. Yeah, it's just. But Deshaun is on the worst possible. I would put him below almost all the other situations just because there was 20 something allegations and the guy's never going to come back. I
Bro,
just
I'm
don't
telling
really
you, they're
see it.
sending the house to try and find more shit to void his contract. I swear.
I liked what you said earlier
Yeah,
about that.
they're sending the hitman right now. They're sending like private investigators to go find and dig up anything to cancel this fool's contract because he just plays the most
I
he
think
plays
the
the most
Browns.
uninspired football. Like, and his team hates him. Like, I don't know if you saw, but there was that clip of Joel Bitonio. He was on the ground, and Deshaun Watson like went to go like pick him up, and he like swatted his hands out of the way and like got himself up. Like, bro, that team does not like him.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. I feel like either the CIA or the FBI are working with the Browns right now to take that guy out of the league. Like the way that just this random another allegation from 2020
Like
pops out
right
of
after
nowhere.
he,
Though, like
right,
couple days
right after he
after,
shits the bed, like someone's like, "Hey,
yeah,
I got some shit."
yeah, that didn't. It's not a
No,
good look at all. And then going back to recap our records from last week, Brandon, Patrick, and I all picked the teams that we thought were going to win. I finished the worst. I had a 6-9 record picking teams last week. Not a hot start. I don't know ball apparently. Brandon 8-7 finished above 50% or above 500, and Patrick had the best week with. Or I'm sorry, these are different. I went 7-9. I didn't factor in the 49ers. I went 7-9. Brandon went 9-7, and Patrick
What's
went
crazy?
10-6.
What's
So
crazy is like
that was a
last
pretty
minute I
good.
like faded myself on like from those picks. I like just faded myself on two of them in my pick'ems, and I think it was the one of them for sure was the Cardinals and Bills game.
Oh yeah, I think yeah, because I had you
Yeah, and I
down for the
faded myself
Cardinals,
to the
and
Bills.
yeah, yeah, that one, and then obviously the Bengals contributed to all three of our records in the loss column. Um, Moving on from recap of the week and the records, I did want to bring up the kickoff rule because my dad said something pretty interesting to me over the weekend. He asked me what do you think they're trying to achieve, and why? Or like, what are they trying to achieve, and why are they trying to achieve that with this new kickoff rule? What did you guys think about the new kickoff rule
I'm
watching
not
this
like a
weekend?
big fan of it at all.
It's whatever. I mean, look,
It seems less exciting.
what it's not as exciting for sure. But what doesn't make sense to me is like,
Okay.
okay, so you're worried about players running full speed at each other, right? Well, let's just remove fucking punting too. You're still running full speed regardless, right? I don't. I think that the attempt was that like the blockers that they're trying to stop like the collision of the impact blocking on kickoffs. But the thing is that look, this is football. People are running fucking 20 miles an hour at each other regardless of what you try to do. People are
Trying to
always
take
going to be
heads
trying to
off.
blindside each other. I think that this rule, like, while it look, it makes it boring. Like the kickoff, like I'm not that like excited to watch anybody return kickoffs anymore. I mean, dude, back when like Devin Hester and what is it, Jacoby Jones, like people like that were in the league, like, dude,
Deshaun
Jackson, they would return the ball at the back of the end zone for a touchdown. Now, if it's in the back of the end zone,
100 yards,
it's a
yeah.
touchback, like guaranteed, right? Like, isn't it supposed to, like, if it hits the end zone, oh, well, it's 25 yards. Like, that's so boring. Like, it was one of the most, the kickoff is one of the most impactful points in the game, right? If your team is doing absolute shit, like nothing, right? You can still score on special teams. And I understand that, like, punting, like, you
And
can still
get
do
good
punt
field
returns, but.
position.
Right, and you can get good field position. Okay, I'll say that you can still get good field position with this new kickoff rule. But what I'm saying is, like, it just doesn't feel as exciting to me to watch the kickoff. I just feel like a majority of them are just going to the, 25, or they're getting touchbacks. Like, it's just not, like, it for me. I don't know.
Okay. Well, so my dad had brought up an interesting point. I think we were like midday watching
Yeah.
the 1 o'clock games, and he had brought up that if you look back to like his era when he was watching football, he had brought up the Houston Oilers, and he said the head coach of that team had told the whole team, if you're on special teams, you will run down there full speed and you will go get that
Yeah.
guy no matter what. Even if it's a touchback, you're running down there. So he was saying, is it more for maybe energy conservation? Will it help out the teams of these guys who are playing maybe special teams and receiver or special teams at DB? And will it save more energy for these guys? Because what we've seen is teams will get kind of gassed and we'll see some blowouts. But maybe this will help on the energy conservation side. And for me, when he had asked me that question, I had thought you can run plays now. Because if you get a kicker that can drop this ball to the, what is it, the 20-yard line to the 1-yard line is the landing zone. If you can get a kicker that can land that ball between the 20 and the 15, and you can get your guys to go down there, and like there's going to be a high-paid kicker just based off of kickoffs now if they can figure out how to get that ball in that spot every time and pick a spot, because we can see that the defense will, or the special teams will be able to get them down on that 14, 15-yard line, or even get the ball back if they can figure out how to do that. And from the other side, we can see that teams will be able to run plays now. I saw a counter. I forgot what team did it over the weekend. One of the backs behind the main line had run to his right side and had a nasty block, and it allowed for more. I think it was on the Arizona game when the guy ran back the touchdown. We see that now you can run plays from special teams as far as returning the ball, and then now you can be strategize how to kick the ball and not get them to the 30-yard line. We're not going to see as many. It might force more returns now that people are like, oh, they pushed the touchback zone out. Why would we kick it to the touchback every time? Give them those yards. If we can get a kicker that can put it on the whatever 5-yard line and force them to return it, you can we'll see a lot more.
I've got a prediction
action
for you. I think that the
What's that?
meta for special teams, right? It's going to be a kicker that, like you said, put it between, of course, in the landing zone. But what I think it's going to do, like what this rule does with the landing zone, where it's like if it lands in here, it's returnable. They're going to be doing like how with the old kickoffs, it was like a long bomb where you want it to like travel throughout the air and then like they catch it Yeah,
get your team down
you
there.
want to have it like have a lot of airtime so that your team can be as close to the returner as possible. What I think
Yeah.
that this kickoff does, like this kickoff rule does, is it flips it. I think that what's going to happen is you're going to see like a lot of low balls that are fast as fuck that are just going to like skip into that landing zone and like a squib kick kind of. But
But what we saw is there was a couple penalties for kickers kicking before the landing zone. So if it lands from the
yeah,
20 towards you, it's a penalty flag, and they get more than just their touchback. Where if you can get that kicker who can place it at a good spot and they're able to get their team down there, or vice versa, the team returning can
yeah.
run a play now. They can run counters, they can run to the left or the right, they can run plays. We're going to see, I think, in my opinion, a lot more action. And it might force less touchbacks because maybe they were trying to get rid of, because we're already seeing the last 2-3 years, it's a touchback every play. We
Well, they
hardly get returns
incentivized
anymore.
it. They made
So
it
maybe
a
this
25-yard touchback when it used to just be 20 yards.
Yeah, and they keep pushing it, but now I think what we'll see in the next coming weeks is maybe more returns or maybe more turnovers from either the returning or the kickoff team, because I'm hoping that's what they were going for. And I also like my dad's take about the energy conservation. Like, are they trying to conserve play? Because if it is a touchback every time, your players don't have to run all the way down there. They're not going as far, and now you get these guys who have more energy, more juice, going to play defense or going to play offense, whatever the fact may be.
When you say
So
energy conservation, like, because we both know, like when it comes to special teams, you have an entire different unit for that. Are you implying like they're gonna put like first team defense like on special teams and then like that actually,
not
you know what, come to
necessarily,
think about
because
it, that should be crazy, because if you have like your entire secondary as the kicking team, you just put a bunch of fucking tight ends at the offensive side. Like you were saying, that could literally just be the play. Like,
we're going to see more creative ideas and more plays being ran
Yeah.
from the kickoff, in my opinion. But also, like, the energy conservation is we look at a guy like, because not all teams are doing what you're saying. Like, Kyron Williams is the punt returner and the running back. Do you think, like, some teams, like, if we look back in the past, Deshaun Jackson was that kick returner and receiver. So now what we can see is if it is energy conservation, they don't have to run as much, and now they can play special teams and their position and not be gassed. And we'll see a lot more output from these guys. So I don't know. There's a couple different ways to look at it. I like what you guys are saying too, that it is a boring thing, but from my point of view, we could see some creative things coming out of these kickoffs and returns and plays being ran or strategy being implemented and things like that, where it might be a good look. So I don't know. We'll see it. Obviously, this is only week one. Didn't see a whole lot. I think we saw one return the whole time from the Cardinals, but maybe we see more, or maybe we see more turnovers. So I like that idea of it. But yeah, pivot off of that. We'll go to a segment I had thought about for this week called, instead of talking about the best players of the week as far as fantasy goes, I wanted to talk about the low impact players of the week. Who had some of the all-time worst performances, and do you think you could play their position and do better? So my first one that I had on the list was Evan Ingram. He had 1 catch, 4 targets, and he got 5 yards. So if you're on Jacksonville, do you think you could have done better? Could you have gotten more than 5 yards or more than 1 catch on 4 targets?
fuck no. If Evan Ingram,
I mean,
if Evan fucking Ingram, who ended as like tight end 2 last year, got 1 catch, you got me fucked up if you thinking I'm even getting a target, bro.
Yeah.
I'm standing out there. They're having me as the water boy if I'm on that fucking team. You got me fucked up. There's nobody with measurables that I even compare to.
well then, I mean, why don't we have contracts if Dontavion Wicks went 0 for 3? He didn't get 1 catch. He got no yards, 3 targets, and didn't get a catch. So why can't we stand out there and get paid his contract?
Okay, here's the thing I'll say about that.
That field was really bad too.
The one thing that I said over the offseason was that when it came to like fantasy and shit, I was not betting on any Packers receiver because I just didn't know, like, everybody that was a Packers fan was telling me, like, oh, well, the wide receiver one is Christian Watson, or it's Dontavion Wicks, or it's Romeo Dobbs, or it's fucking, who's the dude that just went off? What's his name? Jaden Reed. There was 4 like legitimate options that they said that they had, and they even talked about that during the game. They're like, oh yeah, the Packers receiving core, they're all like studs or whatever. And everybody was saying that Dontavion Wicks was like the closest thing to Devontae Adams since Devontae Adams. Can I outplay him? Fuck no. The Eagles defense scares the shit out of me.
I'm just talking week one, man. If we put you in that position, could you have done better?
There's a few players potentially, like very, very few. When we talk about who can I, like, I'm trying to be realistic here. Like, who could I outplay?
Yeah.
Very few. But continue. I want to see. I'm going to say no.
I would say the reason why I brought this up, because obviously none of us could, but I just thought it was just funny performances from these guys. Like Caleb Williams. So if you were a quarterback, no quarterback experience, this guy threw under 50% completion percentage for 93 yards. Do you think you could have completed a little bit better percentage or maybe more yards? 93 yards is not a lot to see out of an NFL quarterback. And not only that, a less than 50% completion. But we talk so much shit on Caleb Williams doing this performance where Anthony Richardson, like you had brought up earlier, had less than a 50% completion percentage, but no one's going to talk about that because he did so good on those deep, dude, some crazy throws. So I don't know. I just thought it was funny to bring up these guys. Like Caleb Williams, you guys think you could have outplayed him this week?
That was like...
No.
That was
getting the ball out quick as hell, not scrambling.
There's one person I believe that I could have outplayed this week. One person. Or two. Maybe two.
Who's that?
Two. Daniel Jones and fucking Bryce Young. That shit was horrible, bro. I'm pretty confident that, like, going out there with no experience, I could orchestrate maybe not a win, right? But something more beautiful than that. If it meant taking a sack on every single play, look, Daniel Jones scored more points for the other team than he did his own team. So if I score 0, I definitely outplayed his ass, right?
And there you go. And that's the same argument I got right now for Caleb Williams. The guy put up no points. He couldn't generate any offense. So if we put you out there week one, I think arguably
you're wrong about that, He got that 2-point conversion, and he looked like he won the Super Bowl after scoring that shit.
Man, I feel like any of us could have gotten that 2-point conversion. Didn't look hard.
Like Swift on like the dump off. So,
yeah, I don't think that's a hard pass to complete. But again, I bring these up because I feel like that's behind our whole brand and what our podcast is about. Is it Never Made It Sports. I like the idea of people being like, hey, I could have taking this guy's spot this week. Or if we look at other sports like baseball, I could have hit that ball. I could have made it. Whatever it is, I just thought it'd be funny to bring up this week, like these player performances. We look at Jonnu Smith, 1 for 2, 7 yards.
Wait, who's Jonnu Smith?
I feel like that's the starting tight end for Miami. With all those weapons that Miami has, you would think that it would take all the attention away from Jonnu Smith. The guy could have had at least 20 yards, maybe at least caught both passes. I didn't see his other one, but I don't know. I thought that was a funny player performance. Two of the guys that were honorable mentions, but there's no way I could see us replacing them is like Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of my favorite players as well. Three catches on 6 targets for 13 yards.
Throw that guy.
He did
was lit.
Yeah, that was nasty, and not only that,
the SWAT.
I loved his defense the SWAT. That was a beautiful play. That would have been an interception if I was in. If I would that would have been a pick for sure. And then Chris Olave, 2 for 2, 11 yards. Like he didn't get targeted as much. I know the team won and everything, but 2 for 2 for 11 yards. Like, could you have done better?
I mean, shit, in a blowout win against the Panthers.
Against the Panthers defense.
I think you give me 3 weeks Okay, you give me 3 weeks to prepare. I'm at least, if we're talking PPR, throw me some dump offs. I'll score more than 5 points.
That's what I'm saying. And some of these guys, their fantasy points this week were less. Evan Ingram went for
Bro,
1.5
Marvin Harrison
fantasy
had like
points.
one reception for like, what, like 10 yards? Something like that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the reason why I didn't bring him up is because I give him more benefit of the doubt having that quarterback that
That's
can't
true.
see over the offensive line or the defensive line. He didn't see that wide open spot that he had, but
Yeah.
and there was no chemistry there. But I mean, I look at these teams who are more well established. Like Evan Ingram should have been targeted more by Trevor Lawrence. Caleb Williams, he's got the most high powered offense in this league right now, and he couldn't throw for one touchdown. He couldn't like. I just
He's a
don't
rookie.
understand it.
He's a rookie,
How
though.
do you
Like,
go?
he's just now finding out that you can't fucking trick the defensive, backs or the defensive line in the way like you could in college. So like, I think give it like it's gonna take like 4 weeks, but I think like mid-season we'll see like
Yeah.
if this guy actually can come and show out. I mean, the good news is he didn't throw any picks. Like that's cool, but I don't know. It was
Yeah.
a pretty iffy performance. But I'm not doubting him though. I
Yeah,
still
no, I
have him
agree.
on my team, and I still think he has the potential
Yeah.
to be really good. I'm just saying the week 1 performance I expected a lot more, but we also got to remember the guy's a rookie. We'll see what the next upcoming weeks look like. Shit, maybe my opinion next week changes. He could look like complete trash. But I don't know.
I mean, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is part of the reason that we saw like Marco's take about being in a different situation. Like, who was it? Who was the
I
three
think
guys?
you
It was
said
two
Jay
quarterbacks.
Cutler and Aaron Rodgers are the same caliber of player, just in different situations.
Yeah, but I think let's see. I know you sent it to me earlier. Let me find it real quick. That was a funny take because it was like, man, you can't play those guys' positions. Those guys are established people, but and realistically, none of us are playing on that field. We don't have the same preparation, training, whatever it is. But I thought it'd be funny to bring up these guys
Yeah.
who did horrible this week and be like, man, could you take their spot like in week 1 and do better?
What about you, Roberto?
I don't know.
Hold on. I'll be right back. Just gonna go to the bathroom.
Okay. Roberto, did you have a guy that you thought like, man, I could probably take his position
Yeah,
this
there's
week?
definitely like a bunch of dudes that go out and just run cardio for their team.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
one in particular was just like say the Jets. Like no way in hell I'm wanting to line up against the Niners at all. But you can call on me
Oh.
to be healthy and put up some more snaps than Mike Williams.
Yeah, and not only that, like Dontavian Wicks, he ran cardio, like you said, 0 for 3, no yards. Like, pay me that money, I'll go do the same thing. I will take a beating for that type of money. And we look at, I mean, there's a couple guys where it's like, man, I don't know. Even like in my experience, I feel like I could have possibly caught more balls and put up more yards than Evan Ingram. Like one catch at 4 targets for 5 yards. Dude, you catch all 4 of those, or at least another catch, you're getting more than 5 yards and
Yeah.
paid the same
He's
amount of
getting
money.
paid a lot.
I don't know. I didn't like the fact that they did so bad and didn't show out for Peel's fantasy
What's the
team
deal?
this week, man. It hurts. But I was just talking about, like, Brandon had brought up some of these guys out there are running cardio. And if you called on one of us to be healthy and just run cardio, why not? You could take their spot, you know? But is it worth getting beat up every play like you were saying?
Look,
That'll be a decision for the
Not
next
at
day
all.
after the game.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, 100%. I agree with you there. Nick, I know there were some things that you wanted to bring up. What was something you had in mind?
All right.
Talk about.
we're going to talk about a few players that I believe are at the top of your buy list or holds for the rest of the season. Just based off of this first week, I have a list and I've written up my case for a few of them. And I think that they had pretty promising performances. I think that the stats were kind of not the whole story for them. Um, and so these are like a couple players, we'll talk about buys or holds or maybe even a couple sells. But first player that I want to talk about today is Brian Thomas Jr. So, as I mentioned, Brian Thomas, I'll give you the stat line. He went 4 for 4, 47 yards and a touchdown, right? As a rookie, that is an extremely good sign that this guy is going to be involved in the offense. And I did my research on like rookie wide receivers. A lot of the time it takes about like 2 to 3 years to get like completely, integrated into the offense. But for me, it seems like Brian Thomas has already taken that like step up in the offense, which is extremely rare. You don't see that a whole lot from rookie wide receivers outside of those of like Julio Jones, Puka Nacua, like those types of people. They kind of instantly go on the radar like, whoa, I need to like see what this guy's doing, right? So he went 4 for 4, 47 yards and a touchdown. And I'm going to give him the credit. He could have gone 5 for 5, 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. But Jalen Ramsey was so scared of getting exposed that he just completely PI'd him. And one of the things that I thought was funny about that performance was that you immediately saw, and there's a clip of it, like Brian Thomas chirping Jalen Ramsey after, which I know like made Jacksonville fans just elated because they hate Jalen Ramsey. I discovered recently. I didn't know that, but I went on their Reddit forum and everybody's talking about how much they love Brian Thomas Jr. for that. And he was lined up against Jalen Ramsey for a majority of the game. He was
who's arguably
he's
number
definitely
one
one of the
corner
top
in the
corners,
league
maybe
right
a bit removed since he's a bit older, but he's still like that guy. He was Trevor Lawrence's like clear target for deep balls. Like he gave me that like Matt Ryan, like fuck it, Julio Jones out there somewhere, like just hucking it vibes. And like I love to see that. Like I was watching that game. I told you that was my favorite game to watch. And it was mainly because I had bought Brian Thomas Jr. like 2 weeks ago for Devontae Smith in a second. So I got Brian Thomas in a second for Devontae Smith. And so one of the reasons why I wanted to get Brian Thomas was because, for one, he led college football in receiving touchdowns with 17, if I'm not mistaken, in 13 games. He had close to 1,200 yards. He was playing with Malik Neighbors, who admittedly like outshined him. But what is it? Steve Smith said that Brian Thomas was more athletic than Malik Neighbors, which coming from Steve Smith, that means quite a bit. One thing I am still heard about Steve Smith though, the fool said that what's his face? Jalen Coker was the best wide receiver route runner in the draft, and then the Panthers had him on the lineup and then cut him, which really sucked because I had that fool on my taxi squad as my deep dark horse sleeper, and then now he's just like unemployed. So like now I'm a little butthurt about that. But no, Brian Thomas looked fantastic. He had a few catches where he ran upfield. He did this thing in college where he's just really good after the catch. Like you'll see him catch it, and then he seems to always turn his body away from the receiver and like a sort of like 180 like spin move type thing where he always makes like the first guy miss. And I love to see that, especially because like I thought he would be more of like that deep threat guy where you launch and he's gonna like jump over people. I mean, the guy's 6'4" and runs what, like a 4.33. Like this guy is an athletic freak. And during the combine, one of the things that people were saying, they're like, oh, we don't like how, quiet he is when we try to talk to him. But with how he's chirping Jalen Ramsey, I think he just saves it for the field. Like, I loved it.
That, or he needed some more confidence. Maybe he was just like kind of scared of getting into the NFL. I mean, it's a scary thing. You're going into this brand new league. It's nothing like college, and the guy comes in, exposes one of the better corners
but,
in the league.
I think his confidence.
Him.
Look, that's something that can be built. Like, especially like after a performance like that, I think you're running hot. You're really excited about yourself. But I think Brian Thomas, personality wise, he's probably just one of those guys that's like, enters the building and does his job. Like, I don't think that that's much of a concern when it comes to his personality. It's kind of stupid to like rate him low because he's just like a silent type of dude. Like, if you're passing up on a guy because he's quiet, like, what the fuck are you thinking? And then the other thing, Chad Ochocinco, before the game, they were doing an interview with him and they were asking him like, okay, what do you think about who do you think's going to score the first touchdown in the Jacksonville game? And he said Brian Thomas. He's like, dude, you got to listen. Like, there's a clip of it. He's like, that kid is unstoppable. And if you watch, and one of the main reasons why I picked up Brian Thomas was because he was cooking the Bucs secondary in camp. Like, I know they were doing like 7-on-7s, but that guy could not be guarded like by that secondary. And we saw the Bucs look really good on defense this week. So if he's cooking the Bucs defense that bad, he was lined up against the number one corner on the Dolphins, and he's putting up these numbers. I think that as a Jacksonville fan and as like a Brian Thomas owner, you couldn't have really wanted a better week aside from catching that, deep PI call. But I'll give you a prediction for him for next week. I think he's a definite go buy. I think he's at the top of my list. Like, if there's one player that you need to go buy after week 1, I think it's Brian Thomas. I think you can get some good value for him now before he pops the fuck off for the rest of the year. I think, and going forward. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, I think one of the main criticisms, one of the things about Trevor Lawrence, I don't know if you know this, but he had a 66% adjusted completion percentage when throwing a deep ball. He likes the deep balls, and he's willing. He likes going deep with his balls. Okay, so he's got that guy in Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas is going to be opening up shit down the what is it, in the 10 to 20 yard range for the other receivers. He's a great addition to the offense. I think that the Bills got the Jags got a stud with Brian Thomas. I think that next week, Brian Thomas may have a down week against the Browns because they have a good defense. But I think that, he might. Like, for all I know, he could just pop the fuck off. You never know. But I think they will continue to look for him for those clutch plays. Like, you don't know what to do. I want Brian Thomas to be that guy that you just huck it to. That's what I want to see him be. Because those are the types of plays.
Okay. And he's got balls deep Lawrence at quarterback.
He's going to be that guy for Jacksonville. I'm really, really excited to watching him play. He looks cool. I don't know. He's got that like moxie on the field. He's got that number 7. The fool's like jacked. Just like exciting. Like, this guy's like this young wide receiver. I think that they really they did really well with that pick. My next buy. Now this one's a little bit different. Okay, because he didn't play this week. My buy number 2 is Josh Downs. And the reason why is because Josh Downs he was my number 1 sleeper wide receiver throughout last year. And honestly, for this year, aside, maybe number 2, aside from Rashee Rice, who I tried getting in my leagues, but nobody wanted to fucking give me him, so that sucks. But, and I knew that fool would pop off too. Those assholes. But, Josh Downs, he set the Colts single season rookie receiving receptions record, right? Last year. And for some reason, everybody still slept on him for this year. And I can't really understand why. He had a game where he put up like 127 yards. He had really good. He looked really good on the field. Reminded me of like a Keenan Allen. He's like those kind of like shorter dudes that run really crisp routes, and he had Gardner Minshew as his quarterback last year.
I was about to bring that up. I was going to
That's
say
what I
who
mean.
was his quarterback over on the Colts because you were so down on
Right.
the Raiders having
He had
Minshew.
Gardner
But who
Minshew
was
as
his
his
quarterback?
QB last year,
So
right? Didn't they? They went positive, if I'm not mistaken. I think like they were one win away from making the playoffs. I think they just like barely lost to the Texans, and
and they had that
right,
head
and they
coach
have Shane
change
Steichen,
midseason too.
who I think is an extremely competent and exciting offensive mastermind for this team. I think that it was impressive for the Colts to even do that last year, considering that they had this game plan around Anthony Richardson running a fast-paced RPO offense, and then Gardner Minshew fucking comes in, and then last minute they got to scramble and change everything, right? So I think Josh Downs is going to have a very significant role in the offense for the Colts this year. If Alec Pierce can put up 134 yards and what was it? Maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns on 3 receptions, and I know those 3 receptions are literally 33% of Anthony Richardson's completions. But I think Josh Downs comes back. He starts getting those short yardage looks. Starts I think he's good for Anthony Richardson's passing development because you have these guys, Alec Pierce, A.D. Mitchell, and what's his face? Who's a Pittman. You have those 3 guys. They're all really what they're good for is deep threats. And we saw that in the game. A.D. Mitchell, he like runs like a 4-3. Like Alec Pierce also runs like a 4-3. We got Pittman. He's just this big body like Nico Collins build kind of wide receiver 1. What they're lacking is that kind of like shifty short like surprise attack. Right. They're
Wes Welker,
you need a
Edelman
guy like
kinda
that
guy.
on your offense that can just make those reliable, like maybe contested or like getting hit, catching catching traffic, whatever. But I think that he's going to be that reliable, like kind of short yardage slant. I want to see them use him like the Rashee Rice kind of action in that offense. And I think that I will say I think that right now is a great time to get Josh Downs. He didn't play last week. And I think he's out maybe for the next week. But if there's a time to get him, it's now. He's young. He's just coming off of like a really good rookie season for a wide receiver, and I think we're only going to see improvement on his side for the next 2 years, and so on. Yeah,
that's someone to look out for then.
yeah.
Being injured,
Definitely
hasn't
someone
played.
to look out
Okay.
for.
I like that.
I'm going to tell you this. I'll give you a few predictions. I think that as it currently stands, I think he's not going to have as many receptions as he did last year, but he's going to have more yards. And I think that that's going to be due to more of like the threat of Anthony Richardson throwing deep is just going to be so like scary for defenses that they're going to go for that over top coverage in like a cover 2 against like A.D. Mitchell or Pittman. It's going to open those short yardage situations to give Josh Downs some yak. And then I think Josh Downs ends as a top 25 wide receiver, which puts him at like the top end of wide receiver 2s in PPR leagues. And I think he's going to become like a Keenan Allen of the Colts. This might bite me in the ass. I don't know, but I'm confident in Josh Downs. I think he's going to do good.
How many yards? How many yards did he go for last year?
I think he had over 700 yards with Gardner.
Okay, and you said he's going to get more yards this year, though.
It depends on his timeline. I think he'll go for
you have
like
you have a prediction for it?
900 or so. I don't think it'll all depend on when he comes back. But I do think that he has more yards than he did last year, regardless of A.D. Mitchell. I see A.D. Mitchell playing kind of like a JMO role for that offense, where he's like that deep threat kind of like big play guy, where he comes out and just has those crazy plays every once in a while, but he isn't really as involved every single play. So just from watching that game, you can see. I mean, Anthony Richardson, he missed 2 deep balls to Adonai Mitchell that would have been touchdowns, would have been huge. Maybe A.D. Mitchell's a buy. I would consider him, but I wouldn't put him as high as Josh Downs. Once Downs comes back into this offense, you're going to see AD's play style, snap share go down. but I think that they are going to run spread a bit, so they'll have all of the guys out there, catching or being potential targets, and then running that what is it, five wide offense. Like, dude, that's a scary ass team to run a five wide with. Like, you got like on the field at any given time, you're gonna have Jonathan Taylor, you're gonna have A.D. Mitchell, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, and Anthony Richardson, right? Up like +1. So it's like that team, like if they run out of five wide, like you literally don't know. Like they're going to run a quarterback draw, and Anthony Richardson runs a 4-4. He's fast enough to take that shit for 10, 15, 30 yards, like every single play. Like they're going to have AD streaking. They're going to have, JT. They're going to be running screens to AD Mitchell and Josh Downs potentially.
So defenses should definitely
100%.
Look out for the Colts.
They're going to be running the most interesting offense in the NFL. I think everybody should be watching how the Colts play this year because Shane Steichen is going to... Look, Shane Steichen was the guy that developed Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert. That is a pretty damn good track record of quarterbacks to have behind you, right? I think that Anthony Richardson is... I would say inarguably more physically talented than both of them. He's got he's got shit he needs to work on, right? He needs to be looking for less exciting plays. Like I know that he's like super exciting and he looks for those like crazy deep bombs, but dude, 9 for 21 is not going to cut it like going forward. I mean, shit, maybe it will.
And what we've seen from him in the past is we've seen an injury so far, and then we talked about this.
Yeah.
The guy played 17 games since high school, and that's not a long stretch. So he does need more development for sure. But I like that. I like that take. You got to be on lookout for the Colts this year.
Anthony Richardson, regardless of like what he's doing right now, like we won't really see the real Anthony Richardson until 2 years from now. He's still the youngest quarterback to start in the NFL. I think in NFL history. He was like 20 years old or some shit like that when he started last year. And he's got plenty of time to grow and develop. I think that he just needs to be careful. Like, these players, like, I get it. You're like a gigantic man. But, like, you can't be running around like this is, like, college again. You're surrounded by people that were the cream of the crop in college. And some of them didn't even have a career, right? So... I think Anthony Richardson, like, if he can stay healthy, he's going to be a dog. I think he's going to develop really good. And I think that his receivers are going to be big fantasy, like, buys. That guy just, with how you saw him launch it deep, is just, like, really, really good. Especially in a league like ours where there's bonuses for big plays. Like, that's, like I said, buy Josh Downs. Buy Josh Downs. I say buy into the Colts offense. I don't know about their defense, but they're going to have a great offense this year. It's going to be really exciting. All eyes on them for me.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. Parts are winding it down right now. We probably won't look at the week ahead, but I will post them if you guys follow us on Instagram, NMI Sport Report. We'll get what we think who's going to win and everything. I'll have those posted. We'll get into bets and then probably wind it down and take an end to this thing and get more fantasy talks, I think, by next week. Because, again, week one, we don't see a lot of stuff. We did see a lot of players kind of shit the bed this week. So if we can get more player performances out of this week, I think we'll get more on a fantasy topic and we're out of the way on our picks of like futures and everything. So if we just get into a couple bets and then we'll probably end it off. We're at hour 20 right now. So we'll wind it down, get into bets. If you guys have some, all I ask for is one player prop, one anytime touchdown, and 2 teams to win. I'm taking, me personally, I have Jags -3. I have Redskins money line, Saquon anytime touchdown, and Lamar Jackson over 220 pass yards this week.
I'm gonna start off with, I think there's some good value on go Bills to take that one. They're plus money. I think that's good value right there. I like the Commanders as well. Jaden Daniels keeps shining.
Okay.
And then as far as Rams are also a good value one, close with the Cardinals. Cardinals are favored.
I liked that matchup a lot. I almost debated taking it because I think the Cardinals are favored by like 6 points. If you're going to go with a dog of the week, I
Yeah.
liked either the Rams or the Patriots this week for
Yeah.
a
And then
high value underdog.
for player props, I think one that would be pretty solid is I'll see if I need the exact line, but Jane Daniels last week really showed his skills on the ground, and I took his line over rushing yards at like 32 and a half, and he demolished that number. So yeah, so it might be interesting to see
So you're
if
going back to the well with that one.
how much it moves up and see if it's going to be in like around that Lamar range of bets or his rush. Especially
Yeah.
after last
Well, as
week,
soon as
like
that line
Lamar
drops, if you
was at like 50 on his line and he got like 100.
yeah, I mean, if you want, just like we did last week with because you gave me Brees Hall and Garrett Wilson over receptions, and I didn't know what the line was until a day or two before. So if you just give me Jaden Daniels rush yards,
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
as
do
soon as the
that
line
one.
drops, I'll put you down for that number.
And then
Okay.
you could do anytime touchdowns
Anytime touchdown
I'm
score.
gonna rock with give me Jonathan Taylor touchdown. Packers. I think we
Okay, I
still
like it.
showed weakness against the run. Saquon had a great game. So I think Jonathan Taylor will for sure find the end zone against us.
Okay, I like that. And for Nick, two teams, a player,
Like
and
two
an
teams that I
anytime
think are going to
touchdown.
win.
Yeah, I'll be getting like the odds and everything for our posts on Instagram and everything. But yeah, if you just give me like either a point spread or a money line, and then or both, whatever, and then just a player, and Brandon did. If you just give me like Jaden Daniels rush yards, I'll get the line
I
later
think
that week,
I
later
think
the
I
week when it drops,
so
and
I'm not I don't
place it on there.
I want to disclaim I don't do the sports gambling stuff. I've never done it. I actually like Dylan was like telling me how to look at all the lines and stuff. One line one I'll just say stat. I think that Brian Thomas breaks 45 receiving yards. I think the line it said 44.5, right? I think that he exceeds that. You'll see this
Okay.
week. Um, I don't think that defenses are still gonna like. I don't think they're gonna respect him, and then they will learn. They will learn next week that you have to like respect this guy. Um, anytime touchdown
Yeah,
for like anyone or like who do I?
and it could be anyone. It could even
Do
be
they
a
do
defense.
that?
If you think a defense will get a
They
pick
do that.
six, you can do them as an anytime. Yeah. So what I did for last week is I took Brandon's Christian McCaffrey, I took Patrick's Travis Kelsey, and I took my
Hmm.
Derrick Henry, and I parlay them together to see who might have to go to
So
LinkedIn and
wait,
get a
is
new
it
job.
like does
They're
it
not back on the
is the way it
podcast,
works
but
is like if someone like if they're not anticipated to score a touchdown and they score one, it's like way better or something. Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
they'll have higher odds
Um,
in a sense. Yeah.
you know what? I'll give you a good one. I'll give you Alan Lazar touchdown.
Okay, I like that pick. I really do because that guy, he's as we've seen, very tall receiver, end zone player. Like he's gonna.
Well,
I like that. I
I'll
like
tell
that
you
play
this. I
for
think
sure.
that Alan Lazar. I think that Tank Bigsby potentially. I think Bucky Irving. Or actually, you know what? I'm not going to bet against the Lions. They look too damn good. I would not risk that. Let's say Lad McConkey too potentially. Um, yeah.
I almost did Lad for my pick because I was like, I liked how he played last week, and
Then
like
for
him
my
and
for my
Herbert started
team
finding that
picks,
connection.
once again, I'll be like a little. I don't want to go like the guaranteed like shit like against the, like Panthers or anything like that. I'll give you. I'll say this. I think that the Saints beat Dallas in Dallas. I'll be risky.
I like that. I like that pick from you. Yeah, I like the riskier picks because everyone's going to be on Dallas, and typically in the betting world, if a lot of people are on a team, they lose, and we'll see how much money's put on the Cowboys this week, and if that changes.
I think that the Saints
money
beat
line
Dallas, and I think that the Bills beat the Dolphins.
Okay. And do you like the Saints with the points, or do you want them just straight up? Because I think you can take them at +6, so they can lose by up to 6
I don't know
points.
if
And you still
I would
win
just
that.
say straight up. I would probably take it like, you know what?
Because straight up would be riskier. If you take Saints +6, you're getting them whatever score they have +6 points versus whatever the Cowboys put up. So like if it's a 3-point game, you win that bet
Like,
because
is it like
Saints
if the
+6
Saints
cover.
lose by 6-2, it wins, or like they have to win?
Yeah, if they lose by
I'm taking
6, you
Saints by
still
6. I think
you
that,
still win the
I think
bet.
that if anything, that game's gonna be
Okay,
close.
so you want the points. Okay. Okay. Because if you take the money line and then they lose by such a close amount and the spread's at 6, you had potential to win that. So Saints spread and then Bills money line. Okay, I like that. I know you don't bet. It's just something I want to do on the show for our betting audience. So if anyone does bet, they can try to track our picks and see who's hot. Try to make money off the guys. Last week, Patrick and Brandon were almost at a tie as far as the picks go. I think I went 2-2. Brandon went 2-2-1 because of Christian McCaffrey wash, and then Patrick went 2-1-1 because the Cardinals covered the 6 points exactly. So it's like a wash. So Patrick did the hottest this week. We'll see this next week. I do have Patrick send over his bets, or I will have him send over the bets. Right now I don't have them, but when I do, they'll go up on our Instagram, and we'll be keeping track of those as the season goes on and everyone's record and everything. So I just think it's just something to do on the show to kind of have something in it each week, I guess.
That's good. I like that.
Compete against each other. Yeah. We're about like an hour 30 right now. We'll probably wrap it up right here. You guys have any more thoughts or anything?
I want to give you just so I can document this, some quick fire pickups or people that I think that you should get. I'm going to say Tank Bigsby, DJ Moore, Colby Parkinson, Bucky Irving, Alan Lazard, and Jaleel McLaughlin. I think that those people, they're in really, I have an argument for each of them. I'm not going to go over it, maybe in a different video. I'm going to plant the seed right now so that I can say I told you so in a few weeks. just think about it.
Okay, I like that. And maybe even next week. If any of these guys have a fantasy anything that is this unreal performance,
that's right.
Nick told you so. I hope you guys know that. Nick told you so. All right, well, Nick, I appreciate you coming on today. Brandon, I appreciate you for coming on. You're welcome back to our next show, Nick. And if you want to continue with the season with us, we're going to do these. I want to say we'll probably do them either on Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, but I think Tuesdays might work the best because we get a full football week. But it also just depends on our schedules. Everyone's got their own jobs and everyone's busy and stuff. So we'll try to make time. We might see 2 of us or maybe 1 of us or all 4 of us or even more. So I'd like to do that. But I thank you guys for coming on. Thank the listeners for listening. And I hope to have a better intro and some more things coming up and make this more exciting for everyone. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show today.
Peace.
And we're signing off.